Hello class 6 students, welcome back to the Science Digital class. Today we are going to start chapter 16 of your science book, which is Air Around Us. Chapter at a glance. Air, the atmosphere, air pollution. Engage. Read and complete the concept map shown below. Air. All living things need air to breathe. We cannot live without air. We cannot see air, but we can feel it. We can feel air only when it is moving. When it blows slowly, it is called breeze. Fast blowing air is called wind. Very fast blowing air is called storm. Clothes move when we put them to dry on a string due to the air ground. Air is also present in things which seems to be empty. For example, empty glass, empty bottles, scroll, empty jug, etc. जो एयर होती है वो हमेशा हमारे आसपास रहती है. हम उसको कभी फील कर पाते हैं और कभी नहीं. एयर उन चीजों में भी होती है जो हमें एम्प्टी लगती है, यानी कि खाली लगती है, जैसे कि खाली बॉटल, खाली जग, एटसेट्रा. एयर इज एन इनविजिबल गैसेस सब्सटेंस सराउंडिंग द अर्थ. इट इज मेनली अ मिक्सचर ऑफ ऑक्सीजन, नाइट्रोजन. Other gases are also present in air but in smaller amounts. Activity. Aim. To show the presence of air in an empty bottle, glass. Materials required: an empty plastic glass bottle and a tub of water. Procedure. Take an empty bottle, open its cap. Now immerse the bottle in water with the open end inside the water. Does water rush inside the bottle? Now tilt the bottle. What do you see? Does water rush inside the bottle? Observation. You will see bubbles at the mouth of the bottle. This is because there was air inside the bottle which comes out on tilting the bottle as it finds air opening. Before tilting, water does not enter the bottle as all the space inside the bottle is taken up by air. But as you tilt the bottle, air rushes out from the opening and water rushes in to fill the empty space. Conclusion. Air occupies space. Aim. To verify the presence of air. Materials required: a paper fan, firki. Procedure. Take a paper fan and run with it in your hand. Run in different direction with different speed. Observation. The paper fan starts rotating. It rotates fast when you run fast and it rotates slow when you run slow. Conclusion. The rotation of firki confirms the presence of air around us. Knowledge basket. On Earth, we are pretty lucky to have an atmosphere filled with air. The air in our atmosphere acts as insulation, keeping the Earth from getting too cold or too hot. Ozone, another type of gas in the air, also protects us from too much sunlight. Air in the atmosphere also protects us from the meteors. Once meteor comes into contact with our atmosphere, it rubs against the air and is burned into small pieces before it reaches the Earth. The atmosphere. The Earth's surface is surrounded by a thick blanket of air called atmosphere. Many planets in the solar system have an atmosphere, but the composition varies. The presence of oxygen in Earth's atmosphere makes it suitable for life. It extends up to 1,000 km above the surface of the Earth. The atmosphere is dense at the surface of the Earth and becomes thinner as we move up. This is the reason why mountaineers who climb high mountains find it difficult to breathe on mountains. Therefore, they carry tanks of pure oxygen with them. 99% of the air is found up to the height of 30 meter above the surface of the earth. तो जो अर्थ होती है वो सबसे ज्यादा डेंस होती है अर्थ के सरफेस के पास, और जैसे जैसे हम ऊपर जाते जाते हैं वैसे एयर की डेंसिटी कम होती जाती है. इसीलिए माउंटेनियर्स को अपने साथ ऑक्सीजन कैरी करना पड़ता है जब वो माउंटेन क्लाइंब करते हैं. लेट्स सी द कॉम्पोजिशन ऑफ एयर. एयर में क्या क्या है और वो कितना कितना है. लेट्स सी इट. Till the 18th century, it was thought that air is pure substance, but in 1774, an English scientist, Joseph Priestley, shows that some bacteria found in soil and in roots of some plants like peas convert nitrogen into a form that can be used by plants. Human beings and animals also obtain nitrogen in the form of proteins from their food. When plants or animals die, this nitrogen is released back to the atmosphere. In this way, nitrogen circulates on Earth. This is known as nitrogen cycle. Air is a mixture of different gases. The main constituents of air are. तो एयर के अंदर कौन कौन सी गैस कितने कितने अमाउंट में होती है वो इस टेबल में डिटेल में दिया है. लाइक सी, नाइट्रोजन 78%, ऑक्सीजन 21%, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड 0.03%, noble gas argon neon 0.94%, water vapor variable, smoke and dust particles variable. Variable means वो बदलते रहते हैं. Let us study these constituents of air in detail. Number first, nitrogen. Nitrogen के बारे में जानते हैं. Nitrogen is the major constituent of air. Air contains about 78% of nitrogen. Nitrogen is less reactive than oxygen and does not support combustion. It reacts with atmospheric oxygen during lightning to form oxides of nitrogen. These oxides dissolve in rainwater to form nitrates and come down to earth. These are absorbed by plants for their growth. तो जो नाइट्रोजन है वो हमारी अर्थ पे सबसे ज्यादा पाई जाती है 78%. और उसके अलावा जो नाइट्रोजन है वो कंबशन में हेल्प नहीं करती और वो ऑक्सीजन के कंपैरिजन में कम रिएक्टिव होती है. नेक्स्ट इज ऑक्सीजन. Oxygen is the second major component of air. Air contains about 21% of oxygen. Oxygen forms about 90% by weight of water and 50% by weight of Earth's crust. It is needed for burning. Oxygen के क्या क्या यूज होते हैं? Uses of oxygen. Living things need oxygen for respiration. Respiration is the process in which energy is released from the food. We need this energy for all metabolic activities. Soil also holds some air in the space in between its particles. Dry soil has air. It is required for the living beings in the soil and also for the roots of the plants. Hence, oxygen is essential for the survival of living beings. Atmospheric oxygen O2 is used for combustion to produce energy in automobiles, aeroplanes, ships, industrial processes, etc. Besides respiration, medical oxygen is supplied in cylinders to help people who face breathing problems due to inadequate amount of oxygen. For example, patients in hospitals, mountaineers at higher latitudes, divers underwater, astronauts in space, etc. Oxygen helps in burning. It is used in many processing industries. Oxygen is used as a fuel in rockets. Knowledge basket. The Earth's atmosphere also has a portion that contains high levels of ozone gas O3. This is known as ozone layer. This layer protects us from the harmful ultraviolet rays of the sun. Aim to show that air supports combustion. Materials required: big bowl, water, a candle, a matchbox and a glass. Procedure: take a candle and place it in a big bowl. Now fill the bowl with some water. Light the candle and cover it with an inverted glass. Observation: the candle keeps burning for some time. After some time, the candle blows out. The water level of the bowl also decreases after the candle goes out. Conclusion: oxygen helps in burning. When the oxygen inside the glass is used up, the candle is put out. Also, the space occupied by oxygen inside the glass becomes empty and water rises up to occupy this space. The major part of air left is nitrogen, which does not support burning. Oxygen cycle. We use oxygen for respiration, burning fuels and many other activities. Yet the amount of oxygen in air remains constant. How does this happen? This happens due to photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the process in which plants use water from the soil, energy from the sun, and the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere to prepare their food. During this process, plants release oxygen, 6H2O plus 6CO2, sunlight, chlorophyll, C6H12O6 plus 6O2. During the day, oxygen is released by plants. Plants also consume oxygen during respiration and release carbon dioxide. But the level of oxygen released is much more than the oxygen consumed during respiration. Hence, there is a net release of oxygen. जो plants होते हैं वो जो प्लांट्स होते हैं वो अपने फूड प्रिपरेशन की प्रोसेस में फोटोसिंथेसिस के टाइम पर ऑक्सीजन रिलीज करते हैं एंड कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड को गेन करते हैं और उसकी वजह से हमारे एटमॉस्फेयर में एक ऑक्सीजन साइकिल बनी रहती है। हम ऑक्सीजन लेते हैं एंड प्लांट ऑक्सीजन देते हैं। The cycle by which oxygen is utilized by plants and animals during respiration and generated by plants during photosynthesis such that the level of oxygen in air remains same is called oxygen cycle. Next is carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide forms about 0.03% of the composition of air, yet it plays a vital role in the living world through a process of photosynthesis. It is produced or released in the atmosphere by various sources such as respiration, burning of fuels, etc. कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड के यूजेस क्या क्या होते हैं? लेट्स सी यूजेस. कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड is used as a fire extinguisher as it does not support combustion and is heavier than air. It displaces oxygen and also cools the fire. It is used in manufacturing of urea. It is used in the process of photosynthesis. It is used to prepare fizzy drinks like Thumbs Up, Coke, etc. Activity aim to show that carbon dioxide gas extinguishes fire. Materials required: a test tube, vinegar, baking powder and a matchbox. Procedure: take some vinegar in a test tube and add some baking powder to it. Note your observations. Ask an elder to light a matchstick and bring it near the mouth of the test tube. Note your observations. Observation: when baking powder is mixed with vinegar, carbon dioxide gas is produced which extinguishes the burning matchstick. Conclusion: carbon dioxide gas extinguishes fire. Next activity aim to show the particles floating in air. This activity has to be done in a dark room. Materials required: a torch and some talcum powder or wheat flour. Procedure: take a handful of talcum powder or wheat flour and throw it gently into the air. Shine the light of torch on the falling talcum powder. What do you see? Observation: the talcum powder floats in the air, separating into tiny pieces. Conclusion: these tiny pieces of talcum powder are just like the particles of dust. Therefore, it shows that dust particles keep floating in the air. Next is water vapor. वाटर वेपर भी हमारी एयर का एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट कंस्टिट्यूएंट होता है. लेट्स चेक इट आउट. Air contains water vapor. However, its proportion varies from place to place. It is added to the atmosphere by the evaporation of water from the lakes, rivers, oceans, etc. The amount of water vapor present in the air is known as humidity. Evaporation is slow when humidity is low. Hence, there is no sweating in winters. It also helps in the formation of clouds which later can come down as rain. Knowledge basket. We see many insects and worms in the rainy season because the rainwater fills up the air spaces in the soil, forcing the animals to come out to breathe. Activity aim to prove that air contains water vapor. Material required: a glass, ice cubes, water. Procedure: place ice cold water and a few ice cubes in a glass and place it on a table. After some time, you will find water droplets on the outer surface of the glass. Observation: this is due to the condensation of water vapor present in the air. Conclusion: this experiment shows that air also contains water vapor. Activity aim to prove that air contains dust particle. Materials required: a clean and dry watch glass, oil, white cotton cloth. Procedure: take a clean dry watch glass or china dish, apply a little oil on its inner surface and place it at an open place. After a few hours, wipe its inner surface with a white cotton cloth. Observation: observe the piece of cloth. Conclusion: dust particles on the cloth confirms the presence of dust particles in the air. Let's check air pollution. एयर पोल्यूशन तब होता है जब हम अपनी एयर को कंटेमिनेट कर देते हैं या एयर कंटेमिनेट हो जाती है. उसके कई कारण हो सकते हैं, तो लेट्स चेक एयर पोल्यूशन. The contamination of air with undesirable substances such as harmful gases, chemicals, dust particles, etc. which may be harmful for the living beings, is called air pollution. The harmful substances responsible for pollution of air are called air pollutants. Causes of air pollution: burning of fossil fuel, smoke from automobiles and industries, burning of wood, cow dung, etc., forest fires, decay processes of vegetation, volcanic eruptions also release harmful gases in air. Effects of air pollution. Air pollution के क्या क्या इफेक्ट होते हैं? Some major effects of air pollution are: acid rain contains hydrogen ions which can damage trees and crops, harm marine animals and induce corrosion in metals. Air pollution causes irritation in the throat, nose, lungs and eyes. It causes various lung diseases in human beings and also results in breathing problems such as emphysema and asthma. The smoke released from factories and vehicles has a lot of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide traps the heat from the sun, thus increases the temperature. This causes global warming, making the Earth's surface warmer day by day. Ozone exists in Earth's stratosphere and absorbs harmful ultraviolet rays. If the ozone layer goes thin, it will emit harmful rays back on Earth and cause skin and eye related problems. UV rays also have the capability to affect crops. Eutrophication is a condition where high amount of nitrogen present in some pollutants get developed on the surface of the sea and turns itself into algae and adversely affects fish, plants and animal species. Prevention of air pollution. Air pollution को कैसे रोका जाए? Some ways to reduce air pollution are planting more and more trees, regular checking of vehicles for emission of harmful gases, limiting driving by carpooling, using public transport, biking and walking. Dust and smoke. Dust particles are always present in air. The amount of dust particles in the air varies from place to place and from time to time. Air also contains smoke. This is given out by vehicles and factories. Dust and smoke in the air are harmful for our respiratory system. Fine hair and mucus is in our nostrils, act as filters and prevent the entry of dust particles in our respiratory system. Air in water and soil. Water contains air dissolved in it. The oxygen present in the water helps in the aquatic plants and animals to survive. Fish breathe in oxygen dissolved in water through gills. Plants which float in water have stomata on the upper surface of their leaves through which they take in air. Plants which are submerged in water like tape grass do not have stomata. They take in oxygen dissolved in water through their body surface. Air is also trapped inside the particles of soil. Animals that live in soil like earthworms and plant roots get oxygen for breathing from the air present between the soil particles. Burrows and holes in the soil make spaces available for air to move in and out of the soil. Let's check this activity. Aim to show that soil contains air. Materials required: glass jar, a sample of soil. Procedure: take a small quantity of water in a glass jar or beaker. Add a handful of soil into it and observe for any air bubbles forming in water. Observation: formation of small bubbles of air in water shows that the soil contains some air in between the soil particles. Conclusion: soil contains air trapped in between its particles. Balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide in nature. In nature, the amount of gases mostly remains unchanged and balanced. How? Animals inhale oxygen from the air and exhale carbon dioxide, which goes into air. Plants also use oxygen for respiration. Green plants use carbon dioxide from the air for making food by the process of photosynthesis. During day, they give out oxygen in return, which goes into the air. The process of respiration takes place during day as well as night, but the oxygen released during photosynthesis is more than the oxygen used in respiration. Therefore, there is a net release of oxygen in the atmosphere. The burning fuels such as petrol, wood and coal use oxygen from the air and give out carbon dioxide, which mixes with the air. So, respiration by living organisms and burning of fuels by humans consume oxygen and release of carbon dioxide. Plants use carbon dioxide present in air during photosynthesis and release oxygen in the atmosphere. In this way, plants and animals help in maintaining the balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide in nature. ऑक्सीजन और कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड का बैलेंस हमेशा नेचर में बना रहता है. कैसे कि जो एनिमल्स होते हैं और ह्यूमन बीइंग्स होते हैं वो ऑक्सीजन को यूज करते हैं एंड कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड को रिलीज करते हैं. एट द सेम टाइम जो प्लांट्स होते हैं वो कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड को यूज करके ऑक्सीजन को रिलीज करते हैं. This shows the interdependence of plants and animals in nature. Do not throw away items that are of no use to you. In fact, reuse them for some other purpose. Switch off fans and lights when not in use because a large amount of fossil fuels are burned to produce electricity. Resort to alternate energy sources like solar power and wind power whenever possible. Uses of air. Air is not only required for respiration and photosynthesis but is also used in number of ways for various applications. Some of them are listed in this page. Air helps in dispersal of seeds and thereby in the multiplication and survival of plants. Wind helps the windmills to rotate, which can be used to generate electricity and run flour mills. Air plays an important role in the pollination of flowers. Here, wind is a dispersal agent. Air plays an important role in the water cycle. Water evaporates from water bodies in the form of water vapor in air and is also restored back in the form of rain. Packets of chips are flushed with nitrogen to prevent their spoilage. Compressed air is used for inflating vehicle tires. Air is essential for the movement of sailboats. Tech Talk. Hydrogen fuel additives. Reductions in emissions can also be achieved by improving the fuel combustion cycle in existing vehicles through the use of additives. The Azeroil technology produced by UK developer CGON does this by feeding small amounts of hydrogen into the vehicle's air intake such that it creates a more efficient burn. Independent tests show that this increases fuel efficiency while reducing emissions of NOx, PM, hydrocarbons and carbon monoxide. Moral learned. Your entire life can change in an instant. So instead of passively taking what you have for granted, be grateful for it and do whatever good you can with it. Recapitulation. Air is mixture of many gases. We cannot see air but we can feel it. The various constituents of air are nitrogen, 78%, oxygen 21%, carbon dioxide 0.003%, noble gas 0.94%, water vapor and dust. Oxygen is needed for respiration and combustion. Carbon dioxide is used in photosynthesis. Water is present in air in the form of water vapor. Air is found in soil and in water also. Air pollution is the addition of undesirable constituents in the air which make it harmful for living beings. Thank you class. Let's meet again in the next chapter.